Hello folks, LA Little here with TA Today, bringing you neoclassical technical analysis on a regular basis, giving you trading ideas, setups, and thoughts about where this market is and where it's going. Let's get into it. Hey folks, LA here, just looking at these markets. We had a day where the markets got a decent pullback. The key is this the day? Is this telling us now that we probably have some sort of a top? Now, it's not easy to make that call too early. I mean, I'm starting here with the SOXX, and I want to call your attention to two or three things, but it all has to do with the AI. You know, it's all the AI trade, it's the semiconductors. But if you look at the SOXX, you had this little tiny doji up here, right, as they climb and they grind this thing higher, and then we come off massively today, down 6%, I believe it was, 7, almost 8%. So even more than I thought. But that push up there got to 55.94. The target was 59.86 right here. So we got almost to it, and then they hammer it. Now, we've got Micron earnings coming out tomorrow night. So my guess is they're not going to push this down very much in front of that, or even if they do, maybe we'll get a bounce on it. This trade's not over in terms of the, the AI chip trade, but at the same time, you got another one of these little, bearish engulfings going on, right? You had this huge volume spike here on this bar. So, this is looking pretty toppy to me. We're not quite there yet, but it's starting to look pretty toppy. Now, I want to call your attention to one other thing, and that is I want to go over here. Look at your retest, not retest regen, but look at your trend extension in terms of the MTTFs. You're high on that one. You're high on this one. So this thing on a very short term and on an intermediate term time frame. So in other words, the extension that you see here, right, that's been going on since way back. This was the last time it was sideways. So ever since here, this thing's been bullish. Or actually, I should say right there to be accurate, has been bullish. And so that push has been going on for a year, right? Then you go over to the chart on here, and you see this one. And ever since here, right, which is a good 3 months now, it's been straight up. That's extended. That says it needs a reset. How does it get a reset? It's got to break a swing point low. Where's the swing point low over here? Well, this one's going to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to print here 3, 4. Yeah, it'll probably print there. So what's that price point? If we go to the price point, remove that so we can see it's about 483, 483, 532 over here. So you're looking at 483, 532. Those are the numbers to break back to. That's going to take a lot of doing, but this market is very volatile right now. Last thing I want to point out, so that's targets. The last thing I want to point out here is if you do the retest regen, notice that this retest regen here, right, doesn't show up. Why? Well, because you got over it right there. That swing point, it was broken there. Should blow this up so you can see it much easier. That swing point was broken. Let me put these back on for you. So here's the high, right? There's your break, right? And this is the undercut. So you undercut it right there, and that says, hey, more than likely, instead of up, you're sideways. Well, what does it do? Because it's been so bullish for so long. What does it do? It jams back over to this, makes a new high, a doji hanging hat, right? A hanging man up there, basically. And then comes off, and you get a huge drop down. This market's very toppy, very dangerous right now. I mean, you can play it. Maybe it's not over. Maybe it's going to continue, right? But I do think there's a lot more risk in this market than we've seen in a while. We already had this big hiccup back here with the big volume. We'll see if this one turns out to be the same thing. So that's the main thing, right? That's what's been driving everything, which is the semiconductor. So what does that do to the markets? Well, let's quickly just look at the NDX, and you can see here on the NDX, this thing gets hammered back down 3 1/3 almost. This one had a high up here, and notice what's happening. here's your high, right? There's your low. What is this going to be? This one's going to end up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's going to end up, if I 35.87. No, at 35. Yeah, it actually got higher here. So this is the potential high, which means this would have to stay down, 6 bars more to make it. The real key thing I'm looking for is, when do we get a lower high? That's still in question. And so that one doesn't tell us. So that's the NDX. Let's go to look at the S&P. Do we know that we have a lower high on the S&P? And this one is a lot closer to confirming that. So what you have here, here's your high, right? There's your low. Where are you going to print a new high? Well, right now, this is the potential. How many bars do you need? You need 6. 2, 4, you need 1 more. 1 more day down. Are we going to pop above this tomorrow? I don't think so. What does that mean? That's a lower high. That's your lower high, right? So if you have a lower high in place, right, what do you need next? You need the lower low. And that would mean that you're going to get some sort of push down here to get it. Now, where's the target on the S&P? And then we'll have to see if that you'll have divergence at that point. But then you'll have to see, do you end up getting at that point you have divergence between NDX and the SPX, right? Then the question is does the NDX follow, or does it pull the SPX out of it? And it can do either. It doesn't have to do one or the other. It can do either. It doesn't have to do one in particular. It could do either one of them. Here's your support zones. You got the major support off of this low in through here. You can see there's a darker area. And so, 73, and then the key is the bottom 72. So right now, this is looking pretty dangerous to me. Dangerous in the sense that this whole big push up looks to be called into question finally. United extended on the bullish intermediate. The other things to watch, if we look around, is the Kospi, right? This one is all based on 2 memory stocks, basically. And if I look at the daily, right, and pop this up, you can see this took a big hit. They actually had a circuit breaker, fire, and they didn't even finish trading. You get this little gap area down here on the swing point low. But again, this one's got work to do to actually say it's top, because here you have, a higher high, right? That's going to print a high. The question is, do you get a lower low? And that's going to be hard to get to. That's another 1,000 down. You'd have to drop another couple days pretty much straight down to break this thing. If you did, then that would be fairly negative, right? I would think this thing comes into this area tonight, and you find some buyers in here, right? Pops back up some. And that's going to support all over on the U.S. side. That's going to support our markets. This has been driving, to a great degree, it's been driving what's happening here. But this is looking extremely toppy. Folks, this thing has gone nuts. I mean, this is on a monthly chart. You want to see how stupid this is, right? Just take a look at this move. You went from roughly 2,200 almost, 2,250 to even call it, to 9,000, right? I mean, that's quadruple, and that's in a year, in 1 year. That's 400%. That's pretty crazy. Oil doesn't even matter. I'm not even going to pull up the chart. It's probably going to get a bounce, though. Actually, I will pull up the chart. It's probably going to get a bounce. You're coming into this area that I talked about. This is likely going to be support area, and you can see the little thin line there. This is where it should hold, or at least try to hold off of this big bar up. So that's not going to be a benefit anymore to the markets near term as a result, probably. But I doubt it's going very far. I think oil is becoming kind of a non-factor at this point. Okay, I wanted to bring you up to date on what these things look like, and nothing special here on the Russell either. And the reason for that is, we're finally seeing the AI trade in the chip stocks get hammered. As a matter of fact, there's one more we should look at, which is the MAGS. And I wrote a piece this weekend. You can go read it over on Substack. And what I was talking about is you're seeing money come out of these finally. right? I mean, you can definitely see here. I'll blow this up, and you can look at it. You can definitely see money coming out of this. And today it was down another 1.3% on as a group. And the chip part of it, right? The AI, the hyperscalers part of it looks a lot worse than this because there's 2 or 3 stocks in here that's still holding it up in terms of how fast it comes down. But you can see here clearly push down, a little bounce, right? And the push is continuing. You've got some support in here. But anyway, you got an ABCD structure to the downside. It's activated. That's on the daily. Or it will be activated today. As of today, this is going to activate today because you broke this low. And so that looks like this one right here, right? Target 61. So you're not that far away. 61 is the target. All right, that's where we're at. What does it mean? Well, what it means to me is if you haven't been careful or haven't thought about getting careful, you really should be thinking about careful, especially in the AI trade. All those levered longs people are playing, they can go against you just as well as going for you. Is this thing probably going to bounce? I wouldn't be surprised if it bounces either tomorrow or on the Micron earnings as of Thursday, Wednesday evening, right? Thursday morning. Is it dangerous here? Yeah, I think it has been. It has been. This thing went way farther than anybody would have believed, right? The SOXX itself, way farther than anybody would have believed. I mean, that's a huge run. Needs to come in. Needs to come in. You know, is it a crash? Is the market going to? No, I don't think so. You know, I've talked about that before. Market's not going to crash. Even if it did, you want to buy it. I mean, one more quick thing here. Just look at the S&P 500. Stick up the retest regens. Well, not on the daily, but the weekly. Let's get the week. There it is. So if you look at this is a buy, right? If you could get it pushed down into this area, folks, this is where you want to buy it. That's what you're waiting on. You're waiting on it to come back. You know, in classical TA, they call this like the scene of the crime, right? This is where you broke out. For me, it's a retest regen, right? That's where typically when you break out, you come back within 2 bars, right? This one didn't, just kept going. When it does that and it finally comes back, right? That first bounce, right? Or potentially continuation, that's what you want to buy. You want to buy this. That's the low risk buy with a high probability of success. That's what you're looking for on a chart. They don't come along that often. When they do, you got to seize it. You got to throw a bunch of money at it and take your chances, right? You put your stop underneath, you know, and in this particular case, I mean, you use your ATR and you look at it. This is the width of the bar, right? Should only get into the top third probably. That's where you want to buy, right? If it comes down and does the full test, you want to add to it. You know, if it gets too low, trade didn't work, it should have worked. On a weekly, almost always works. That's what you're looking for. I'm going to leave it at that. Have a great one. Folks, leave comments. Ask me questions. I'm here to try and help. You know, I've been doing this a long time. Got unique tools. I understand that not everybody understands them all, and that's fine. I try to explain them as I go along, but at the same time, you know, it's not just a one-way street. I'm not here to preach to myself. I'm trying to help you. Have a great one. I'll see you next time.